forest farm facilities and the FLR 100 initiative. And we all together want to raise awareness on the best practices on wood energy and on the positive contribution that sustainable wood energy could give to forest landscape restoration and vice versa. As you probably know, the 2.8 billion people in the world still rely on traditional biomass for cooking and heating. They represent almost the 38% of the global population, and they are concentrated in non-OECD countries, and especially in sub-Saharan Africa. So this means that wood fuel and charcoal represent an important, a relevant factor for the well-being and for the food security of African people. So this is why we can't miss this important factor while talking about forest landscape restoration. Let me briefly explain how this session will flow. We will have initially 3 keynote speakers who will explain the general situation in terms of forest landscape restoration and sustainable wood energy. And after the 3 keynote speakers, we will have a panel discussion which will be moderated by Mrs. Nora Berramuni. Thank you, Nora, for being here again. I know that you have a very overwhelmed day, but you accept our invitation. Thank you so much. Nora is a senior forestry officer at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and in the regional office of Africa, which is based here in Accra. And so during the panel discussion, we will have Mamadou Diakité and Mr. Shah Zuzang and a representative from Forest and Farm Facility, Prague. And soon after, we would like to receive your contribution and your best practices via Slido. We have prepared a Slido in order to receive your best practices. They will be all summarized in the minutes of this event. So thanks for coming, thanks for being here, and let me leave the stage to Mamadou Diakité, who is Senior Manager of the Sustainable Land and Water Management of the African Union Development Agency of the New Partnership for Africa Development. Please, Diakité. I know that I appreciate a lot your sacrifice. I know that you are not feeling very well. So thank you. Mamadou is also leading in this moment, amongst the other, the African Forest and Landscape Initiative, FLR 100. Thank you very much, Mamadou.
Thank you, Tiziana. Good afternoon, colleagues. And yes, I missed one session in the morning that was facilitated by Nora. And I will try my best now. And Nora just reminded me that actually for what I have, charcoal is very good to stabilize. So I will remember that, that advice. So I will use some wood and charcoal to stabilize my, my stomach. So I am here to just talk to you briefly about the FLR 100 initiative, and of course the linkage between the FLR forest landscape restoration and wood energy. And I don't know if the presentation will go up, if possible, but I can start as it is. So you may all know now by now the FLR 100 initiative, which stands for Africa Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative. and that was launched in 2015. And by now we have 28 countries, 28 African countries that have joined this initiative, and who have now pledged for 113 million of hectares of degraded land and forests to be restored by 2030. And we have so out of the 28 countries, we have started the assessment of the status of degradation, but also the opportunities of restoration. And as you may suspect, many of those countries, we have so far, I think, 20 assessments that were completed, and wood energy is, of course, in the center of their request for support to develop or maintain wood energy, but that is sustainable with sustainable practices. So, and I think this is the added value that this kind of work collaboration can do to do sustainable wood energy and bring it into the energy mix of countries. So I will not go into details because we only have 5 minutes per speaker, but this is more or less the framework of the AFR 100, and I will just insist on the national political ambitions, and this is where you see that wood energy will fit very well, and of course with support from the other pillars, the technical support, the global support, the multilateral support, and also financial support in terms of investment from the public sector. So, did I go fast? Too fast. Yes, all these, I'm sure you know all this if you attended the AFR 100 and also the GLF meetings. And all our work program, I will not go into details, can fit really into this this initiative. And also I would like to finish I would like just to finish quickly by saying that the NEPAD agencies has now moved to become the African Union Development Agency, AUDA. And why I'm telling you that, we have now set up an ambitious energy program that is also linked to sustainable land and water management, that is linked also to restoration, and that program on energy will focus in the next 2-3 years to come on 10 African countries that have been identified with the least access to energy. And we have started deploying that program 3 weeks ago in Burkina Faso for the West African countries, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad were there. And we will have the same activity in East Africa and also in southern part of Africa. So really we invite your expertise and your technical support to come and help those African countries to increase their access to energy. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mamadou. Let me call on the stage Mr. Sha Zunzang, who will represent the FAO Forestry Department. Sha is a senior forestry officer at the FAO. She was an expert in energy and in wood energy in particular. Thank you, Sha, for your contribution.
Hi, good afternoon. It's kind of challenging to make a presentation immediately after lunch. Also, I was given a very big topic and a very short presentation time. No, originally I designed this topic, sustainable wood energy. 30 years of good practices of sustainable wood energy in Africa. I think this topic deserves 5 days of discussions, not 5 minutes. But let me try to present an overview of my findings on this subject. I tweaked a little bit of this topic from the wood energy to sustainable charcoal production, and just better reflect our findings so far. It's kind of ongoing process. So first of all, why charcoal is a concern? Well, you may have your answers to these questions. Here are my understanding. Why charcoal is a concern to us? According to FAO statistics, about half of the wood harvested from the forest are used directly as fuel. It's burned. You may not know this percentage. People believe that most wood used as timber. Now, actually, half and half. Half are used as firewood for charcoal production, for wood pellet, or for wood chips. So this is a very big percentage. And in African countries, this percentage is even higher, up to 90%. Think about it. 90% of the wood harvested from the forest just burned for cooking and heating. But it's important. Without this wood, how people cooking their food, they do not eat raw. Also, about 17% of the wood is converted to charcoal. And this conversion process is not very efficient. The charcoal production in African countries account for roughly 60% world charcoal production. So this means that the charcoal production in this continent is very significant. So why it is important? Well, people burn wood for cooking and heating, and if they collect it for their household, mostly they collect from nearby forest. Or maybe they sell the forest to the cities nearby, maybe dozens of kilometers away. But for charcoal, it may send hundreds of miles, send charcoal to the big cities. So the impact, social, economic, environmental impact is much stronger than the decentralized wood fuel consumption by individual household. Think about in the big cities, if it rely on charcoal, it's millions of population. So this impact can go far beyond the forest nearby and at the landscape level. And actually, people wonder, well, this is an issue, how many initiatives, programs, and policies have been addressing this. We're looking into this ever since 1980s. We found a lot of interventions have been initiated. From the government level, from the international ODA, there's different funding sources, initiate programs or projects. And what are the lessons, experience, key findings of such programs? It's very much scattered here and there with the project report with different languages. When you want to look into this particular issue, you try to summarize what the key findings so far. It's very time-consuming. When I started working for FAO as a forestry officer exclusively on wood energy, I tried to look into these firewood issues, charcoal issues, particularly in the African country. I found it really time-consuming. That's why we're trying to build up some kind of information management system to see how can we put these current findings together to easily find what has been done so far. Now this project information management system trying to house the information relevant to charcoal and wood fuels. And the target audience and stakeholders may include all of us, policy makers, with project practitioners, donor agencies. I mean, they are looking into this issue. You can quickly look into, for the particular country on the particular project, what have been done in this area. We're trying to have this kind of information available online. And this, we are focusing on the initiative and interventions with significant large-scale impact at national level, because there's so many projects. If you look, you're trying to be inclusive, to include everything is very, very challenging. So we're looking into the bigger project at the national scale. And also those with a bigger investment, I mean, it's likely have a bigger impact. Also have a major effort that occur over years. So this kind of project may have a larger impact. This is the first priority we're looking into. And also, how to fund this? For initially, we collect this information through internet search. But we also have partner organizations who can contribute to the process. And so we will open to the public. If you find something very interesting, very good, you may provide it into this system, and after the manager review and clear, it will be open to the public. So we plan to start with the African countries, 50 plus countries, and eventually may cover other developing countries, Asia and Latin America. So here is a sample of fundings. I will not go through each and every of this, but this is just sample in the case of Zambia. If you just try and look into the country of Zambia, what was relevant information, the sector review and sector studies, the laws, policies, strategies, and program and project. And here's one of the particular project, the Green Charcoal project in Uganda. This is run by the UNDP and the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Department. It's a UNDP GF supported project. Here is the year of start, ending, the funding sources, and the references, the midterm review report. So this is the last slide. I mean, this is an ongoing project. We have started, we're not yet finished. And so we need to set up some kind of criteria to flag some best or good practices. When we put this into the system, we may look into which one could be flagged as a good practice. So for good practices, it could be technically, socially, economically, or environmentally have a better performance, or have kind of improvement along any component of the charcoal value chains, or is kind of a better effective governance of the charcoal sector. So if any of these seems met, we'll flag it as possibly a good practice. As it's kind of subjective, we have started. And the preliminary findings so far is a wide range of efforts have been made in different countries and different sub-regions and towards the sustainable charcoal production. And many examples exist, towards the so-called sustainable charcoal production. But we found that most of these so-called good practices are very much site-specific or context-specific. There's no universally successful models that can be replicated somewhere else. But no, at least it's something good. And also, if it is effective, very likely it's multiple interventions rather than just a simple one project intervention. And lastly, with structural changes could be very important. If no structural changes, it's less likely you have the lasting impact for a long time. Thank you. I think 5 minutes is really very challenging, but I'm trying my best to give you an overview. I need your help. You provide us your input. I put it into a system so I can help you back and help others. Thank you.
Thank you, Ksha, for this wonderful intervention. Now, after the senior officer, let me introduce the youth. Please, Prag, come into the stage. Pragyan Pokrel is a second-year Erasmus Mundus master student. He works as a volunteer at the Forest Farm Facility, which is a global organization supporting forest and farm producers organizations. It's based, the secretariat is based at the FAO in Rome. Please, Prag, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. I come on behalf of the Forest and Farm Facility. Until September, I was involved with the Forest and Farm Facility, and I'm still within the family of Forest and Farm Facility. I first stumbled upon the Forest and Farm Facility. Can I have my presentation up, please? I first stumbled upon the Forest and Farm Facility as a younger forester when I was just out of university, working with IUCN in Nepal. And the first project I worked in was the Forest and Farm Facility in 2017 in its phase 1. Then I went to university in Europe, and then I got an opportunity to be engaged with the Forest and Farm Facility again in the headquarters. But I have a personal relationship with the Forest and Farm Facility as well. I'm also a young farmer, a generation of farmers. I belong to a family of generation of farmers from Nepal. Forest and Farm Facility is a global partnership between FAO, IUCN, IIED, and AgriCorp. We have an objective to strengthen forest and farm producer organizations for forest climate-resilient landscapes and improve livelihoods. We have 4 outcomes. I wouldn't go into that. We work in 17 countries. We have 9 core countries where we have our major work, and we have 7 network countries where we're trying to leverage more funds so that we can scale up our work. Since we're in Africa, and I was in the plenary session before lunch, most of the issues that were raised, here's a solution to that. We have a strong focus on gender equality, youth involvement. We have strategies for gender and youth, and we work with indigenous communities. We have wonderful advocates in our panelists today who will tell you more about it, so I wouldn't take more time. We work directly with the forest and farm producer organizations in the ground, helping them to access finance, build capacity, share knowledge, among others. For the purposes of this interactive session, I want to highlight some of our work in Africa. In Kenya, we work with the Zandewa Tree Growers Association. So a couple of months ago, we organized a farmer-led tree census program where we train farmers to inventory all the wood fuel potentials within their farm. In Liberia, we are working with the National Charcoal Union to strengthen their capacity. And in Zambia, as Humphrey will tell you more about it, we're working with the Choma Charcoal Association and working in something called the Participatory Guarantee System, which is which is a certification scheme between the farmers. We have some of our challenges. For example, in Kenya, there's a charcoal ban, so we have to work around it. But I want to give, I'm of the opinion that the people who actually work in the ground should get more time. So I leave it to that, and I thank you. And to my family of FFF back in Rome, just so you know, I'm settling well in Germany, so don't worry. Thank you so much.
So I would like to thank a lot all of you for your contribution, and if possible to call Nora on the stage to moderate the next panel discussion. We will have also the contribution from all the other panelists, which comes from the civil society, ONG, representing other international organizations such as IRENA. So Nora, I will give you the floor, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Titiana. And I think as our colleague Pragyan, from who presented the Forest and Farm Facility, has made really very beautifully the link with the session before regarding the UN Decade to Act, and the solutions are here. Maybe we should have more farms, facilities in every country connected together. So thank you so much for this. And also to Mamadou and to Shah for the great overview and the good news you are bringing. Mamadou with the good news related to the wood energy program in 10 countries in Africa. Big applause. And Shah also for the great work that you are doing in harnessing and gathering the information on what is going on with the wood energy and mainly charcoal production also in Africa, to start putting the dots together, because there is a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, practices out there and implemented by so many partners from local to national to regional and international, and we need really to get this all together to serve us after in decision making. So thank you very much. Now, let me have, let's say, the honor and the pleasure to call to the stage fantastic panelists that are coming, that will be, let's say, lightening us with different experiences, practices that they are really implementing with the communities on the ground, and also through different regions, within the region, through different countries. So I would like to call to the stage Sung-Woo Kang from IRENA, please. Joari Nyanya Andriamairamunana, sorry for my bad, let's say, pronunciation, from GIZ, from Madagascar. Cécile, my dear Cécile Njebet, the president of the African Women's Network for Community Management of Forest, REFACOF. Please, women, come in to the stage. Diana Kishiki, assistant at Kenya Forest Service. Please, welcome. Veronica Agodoa Kitty from ASA Initiative from Ghana. She will tell us after what ASA means. And then Humphrey Nchengmua from the Forestry Department of Zambia. Welcome. And last but not least, Cisco Aust from GIZ. Please welcome to the stage. Big applause. We are talking about wood energy, and what a wonderful energy we have here. So I would like to start actually asking you colleagues to give us, actually without any, let's say, without any order, if you can start from here, but nobody is seeing you there. Yes, please, let's be Kenya. Yeah, I think you see the people. Are you okay? Okay. So I will just take one. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I would like to ask you, what is, to introduce yourself briefly and your organization you work for, and tell us exactly what you are doing through your work or through or yourself on the linkages between bioenergy and forest landscape restoration. As we know, forest landscape restoration is aiming to put the sectors together in order to support the conservation and sustainable management of resources and the recovery of the landscapes across the different land use. And here we are talking about energy as sector, who normally a sector which actually put in more pressure and more degradation. So we want to hear from you, how are you harmonizing FLR with bioenergy? And please introduce yourself first. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Diana Kishiki. I'm an assistant conservator of forest at Kenya Forest Service. Kenya Forest Service is mandated to conserve and manage forests in Kenya. So how we work with communities, we support them by giving them technical advice to grow trees on their own farmlands. And through this, they're not over-depending on the forest for their wood fuel. And also we have Charcoal Producers Association, which we support, and we tell them about how to sustainably produce charcoal. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. A round of applause, please. We need some energy back. They will be giving energy, so we need energy back. Please, Humphrey.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. My name's Humphrey Chengamwa. I work under Forest Department from Zambia. I'm from a country that is 60%, that has 60% forest cover. And then we have a huge challenge of deforestation, where we are losing forest cover between 250,000 hectares to 300,000 hectares per year. If you can hear to the figures, I think they are too high. And then 70% of the people rely on energy, especially those in the urban areas. And then most of the energy that they use, it's charcoal. So under the Forest and Farm Facility, with the forestry, with Food Agriculture Organization of the UN, we are working together to curb the situation. So what used to happen in the past, the charcoal producers were not organized, so it was very difficult to control them. So it was felt imperative that the charcoal producers, they should be mobilized and create a platform of discussion where they can be discussing things like to do with policy, pricing, investment, and the methods of harvesting charcoal. So these are some of the things that we are doing under the Choma Charcoal Association, because in the past it was very difficult. It's difficult to follow an individual, but if you bring people, you mobilize them and form an association, it's very difficult to handle the situation. So with the formation of the association, we have seen for the first time where the charcoal producers have been capacity built in various activities like sustainable methods of charcoal production, because in the past they were using the traditional methods that were not sustainable. So under the Forest Farm Facility, we have introduced the drum method of charcoal production that has low carbon monoxide emission, and then the methods of harvesting does not encourage the cutting of bigger trees. We are encouraging selective methods of selective methods of harvesting wood. So in a nutshell, those are some of the things that we are doing under the Forest Farm Facility together with VAO. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. That's very interesting and encouraging. I would like to pass on to Mr. Sungu to tell us a bit, to present better himself and also to talk about what IRENA is doing on these dialogues between bioenergy and FLR, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Seung-woo Kang. I'm working for ARENA International Renewable Energy Agency, bioenergy team especially. And then for those who don't know about ARENA, ARENA is an intergovernmental organization. So we were established in 2011. And then we have now grown so fast, and then we have 160 member countries and 23 states in ascension. We have 3 offices, one in Abu Dhabi, headquarters, and the policy, finance, and country support unit is in Abu Dhabi. And then one in Bonn in Germany, where bioenergy team is located. We have Innovation and Technology Center. Another office is in New York as a permanent observer to United Nations. So as an intergovernmental organization, we support countries to deploy more renewable energy under the context of climate change mitigation and global energy transition. So if I summarize a little bit our bioenergy works related to landscape restoration, I can summarize them in 2 categories. One is to restore the degraded land, and the other is to prevent the land degradation. So for the restoration, we had one very extensive study to evaluate the technical and sustainable potential of a biomass while restoring the degraded land. It was related to AFR 100 pledges. So we assumed that we can plant short rotation woody copies to restore the land. And then for the other topic, to prevent the degradation of land. So first of all, for the forestry, so sustainable forest management can enhance the use of bioenergy from forest while keeping the forestry growth and keeping also the forest being young. And the other one is sustainable harvest. I think you may have heard about this subject, agroforestry, from yesterday. And then agroforestry can help to produce food crops while producing additional bioenergy crops between plots. So it can reduce the stress on land use, and then it produce in the same time the bioenergy commodities. Thank you very much.
And IRENA stands for this acronym, what it means?
ARENA is International Renewable Energy Agency.
Thank you very much. It's also for the interpretation. So, Joari, please introduce yourself and tell us what you are doing within GIZ in order to strengthen this collaboration and dialogue between bioenergy and FLR. Please.
Thank you, Nora. I know Malagasy name is very difficult. My name is Twaranjia Manana, and I work with the German Cooperation, GIZ, within sustainable management use of natural resource program. Our main intervention in FLR is to support the forest ministry to implement the country's engagement in the FLR 100 initiative to restore 4 million hectares of degraded land by 2030. Our contribution is to establish dialogue, intersectoral dialogue, and to develop document framework, legal framework to implement this engagement in national level, and in regional level we help to implement also regional plan on bioenergy, linked this with the national strategy, FLR strategy.
Thank you very much, Joari. I turn now to Cécile from REFACOF. Please, Cécile.
Thank you. I'm Cécile. I'm based in Cameroon. I'm wearing many hats, but this afternoon I will share maybe 2 or 3. I'm coordinating a national NGO in Cameroon. We call it Cameroon Ecology. We share what we're doing within that NGO in relation to bioenergy and forest landscape restoration. I know you know me better with a REFACOF hat, the African Women's Network for Community Management of Forests, which is a network of 19 countries now in Africa. And also, also a member of the steering committee member of the initiative we just shared on forest and farm facility of the FAO. What are we doing to try to link bioenergy and forest landscape restoration? We are currently implementing an initiative with C4 on improve smoking stove for the women fish smokers in the mangrove area of Cameroon. And that initiative is really one we can try to encourage, because you can see the linkages between the bioenergy. Women need wood from mangrove to smoke fish. Women need better conditions, because so far they are using traditional stove to smoke their fish. But with this initiative, we are bringing the women into restoration of the mangrove, because they will cut the mangrove trees to get fuel wood to smoke the fish, and they will restore, they will replant where they have cut, and they are making it in a very good rotative way. When they use this section this year, they will replant, and they will wait for 6-7 years to come back. And you can see how they link the restoration and and they try to address the need of wood for their smoking, to smoke their fish. This is first. The second one is that this experience or this initiative also, it bring in the power relation or the gender relation between men and women. Mangrove area, as you know, are very difficult to access. So usually what women are doing, they rely on men to have the wood that they use to do the fishing, to smoke their fish. But that relying on them is not an easy relation. Sometimes the men, they cut to go and sell outside where they get more money, where it's more expensive than just giving to the women. And you see the women turning back in cutting very small tree of mangrove, so destroying really those trees which are just coming in. That is third. The third is also this initiative also address the climate change. You know, when they are we are improving the stove, the smoking stove for the women, it's the quantity of wood they use, in the past, they were using in the past with the traditional stove, becomes less. Though they use less wood because the stove save more energy, and that is also addressing climate change issues and goes also into what we call adaptation-related activities. Not only mitigation in planting trees, but also adaptation in trying to improve their stove, the smoking stove they are using. And of course, the last important aspect of this initiative is women empowerment. And how do we see the women empowerment? By introducing the technology, the adapted technology of improved stove. Women save time, because now the stove they are using is energy it saves a lot of energy, so the smoking of the fish take less time. That's first. They also improve their health, because they are not smelling or smoking all this smoke coming from the traditional stove. The stove now is being improved, so it's producing less smoke, so it's protecting them from being sick. And you see also that the surrounding ecosystem, where we have a lot of people putting pressure on the wood from mangrove, also is getting less and less, so the pressure is also diminishing. And of course, the quality of the fish is better, so the income is also improve the level of income, because fish are now more expensive than in the past. So they gain more income, they improve their health, they save time, and they are working in better conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecile. An applause to Cecile, because she told us a bit of a story about her initiative and giving actually the great example of the mangroves, where we have also the landscapes of the coast, you know, the coastal, the marine, and the land, and the value chain. And, you know, I am now hungry. I want to eat some fish, smoke it. So anyway, so thank you so much, Cecile, for this experience shared with us. I turn to Veronica. Veronica, please. You are from ASA. You have a NASA initiative. What is ASA, or is it NASA? Please.
Thank you. I'm Veronica Agodoakiti. I work for ASA Initiative. ASA is Alternative Sex of Assistance. It's our corporate initiative in development. And we have been working since 2009 in developing biochar systems, including production of pellets from agricultural residues, stove kiln for efficient production of cooking energy, and biochar as a byproduct. Biochar can be added to the soil, and as a means of soil amendment, improve land fertility and increase yields. Biochar also serves as a carbon capture and storage. Our large biochar stove or kiln can be used to produce charcoal efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Well done. No, that's a very interesting, very concise, but really to the point. Thank you so much for sharing this initiative on biochar. I would like to turn to Cisco House. So Cisco, tell us, what are you doing in GIZ in bringing bioenergy and FLR with positive, to get positive impacts on the people, on nature? Please.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm coordinating a GIZ project, just recently started in April this year. It's called Forest Landscape Restoration through the establishment of a sustainable wood energy value chain. It's financed by the BMU, the Federal Ministry of Environment from Germany, in the frame of the International Climate Initiative. And yeah, as we heard in the second presentation today, biomass is still the main source for cooking and heating. For heating, probably not in Ghana so much, but for cooking. And so it's a crucial, still a really crucial factor for deforestation and forest degradation in Ghana. And so we want to work on that. And so we are focusing on improving the sustainable wood energy value chain in selected forest landscapes in the northern and central Ghana. So we will work there together with the local communities on the one side on improving the sustainable production of fuel wood, for example by supporting afforestation of energy wood plantations, but also by restoring degraded woodland savanna ecosystems. Here we work in close cooperation with IUCN, AOSH and Tropenbos. And on the other side, we also like to reduce the demand on wood fuel wood, by bringing in, for example, more efficient technologies in charcoal production with charcoal kilns or cooking stoves. But we cannot only also focus on these landscapes, on these forest landscapes, because sure, also charcoal transportation, production is all over in Ghana. So we also want to look on the national level. So here we're working together with Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Ministry of Energy, Forestry Commission, Energy Commission, and the Environmental Protection Agency, because all of them have a significant role when it comes to the establishment of a sustainable wood energy value chain. So we are trying to sit together with them and supporting them when it comes to the revision or formulation of strategies, regulations, and regarding to bioenergy or forest landscape restoration.
Thank you very much. That's really a very interesting project. You are starting, yeah?
Yes.
You are initiating that. And I think there is a very good also knowledge here from the different, even from Ghana, your sister from Ghana, who has been also working on that, and to get also some information and experience from the other colleagues. That's great. No, thank you so much. Before going back to the other questions that I have so many questions to you guys. No, so many questions. I wanted to give the floor to our audience. I am sure you are here all burning to ask questions, comments, maybe contribute with maybe your experience, what works or what doesn't work, and then we can hear after from the panelists. So I have a hand here, a second, third, I don't see, 4, 5. So please, can I have the mic here? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Zikreto Ndikumagenge. I am working for FAO in Democratic Republic of Congo. I'd like to congratulate my colleagues here for the job done. But I have a question to the senior person in charge of energy and my colleague from Zambia, because since many years we are trying to improve the yield of production. If you see 70% of the wood is gone to charcoal, but the yield of efficiency is very low. In many countries it is around 10 or 15%, is very low. So the rest of wood is lost somewhere. So could we share with us some experience of a project that we can use as example to improve the yield of production? Because in DRC we are starting integrated RED programs in Equatorial Province, and we have a big component on energy. If we can, as FAO, show that how can we improve this yield of production to be a good contribution to the country, to the RED, and for landscape restoration also at national level and landscape level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will take the other questions, and then after we come back to you for responses. Okay, there was, yes, the hand raised there, and then the third just behind after. Yeah?
All right, thank you very much. My name is Daniel Dokuninoti. I work with a local NGO called Yampuano in the western region of Ghana. I would like to ask a question and also make some contributions. Basically, I've been working with mangrove ecosystem for the past 6 years, and we realized that mangrove is being used by the women, like fishmongers, for smoking, and they really like the taste. When you come to Ghana, they like the taste and also the color. But when my sister was talking, she made mention of they harvesting and then replanting. Are there plans to also look at sustainable harvesting? Because there are ways you could harvest some trees and leave the others where the system can regenerate by itself. And if they are replanting, I also want to know how they are doing it. Are they doing in situ or they do nursery and all that? Okay, thank you.
There was a hand just, yes, there, behind, yeah?
My name is Raymond Owusu-Echan, working with Conservation Alliance International. I want to add to what my other colleague said. Once you are doing restorations, like you are doing it on rotation basis, and can you explore the opportunity of maybe getting community resource areas around the mangrove areas, so that at least you don't burden the mangroves a lot, so that areas will be set aside whereby it will be managed sustainably. Then my other question is, when you talk about the improved stove, can you give us, in terms of maybe avoided degradation using the traditional system and then the new ones, the improved stove, so that at least we can make comparison and see whatever is going on.
Thank you. There were hands here. Yes? Here first, please. Yeah? And then behind, and then there. Yeah? Please.
Okay, good afternoon to you. I'm Yaira Yautasham, a Ghanaian. Yes, I would like to know, we are all talking about charcoal, that's wood fuel. I would like to know, what are we doing to replace them? Because this forum itself is for land restoration, and we know with trees, it takes a very long time for trees to grow or to mature to a particular level before they will be cut for firewood or charcoal. But here lies the case, with charcoal, you use them and you have to use them again. What are the various steps we are putting in place that after cutting them, we need to replace them for others to use? If there is no step, or if there is nothing we have in mind, I would like to suggest that we look at the LPGs and other things, and also making it affordable for those in the interior parts of the country to get access to. And also there is a woman I know in the north who uses wool, silk, to help the women to cook. They just boil and put it in a pot, like the wool, for it to boil. So I think we can also look at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, there was a hand there, yeah, behind, and then to the right, yeah, with the white shirt. Thanks.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kafu Agbe from WIPA, that is Young Professionals for Agriculture Development. As young as we are, we want to know, to all the panelists sitting there, what are the sustainable strategies that have been made to engage the youth within this bioenergy? Because we, the young people, are the ones going to use the energy, and if we are not integrated very well, we'll still destroy it, and restoration cannot be achieved. Thank you very much.
The hand behind, yeah, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Isel. I work for Sustainable Energy Technologies and EcoNexus. My contribution is more of a suggestion or a contribution and answers to some of my colleagues who actually asked questions. I would like to say that one of the panelists, presenters, talked about alternative for charcoal, right? So I would like to say that the way to go, because there are other means where we can get charcoal or biofuels without cutting down trees at all. For example, I'm a briquetting and pellet expert. So we could, instead of cutting down trees, we could make charcoal briquettes from coconut husk, we could make it from rice husk, biomass materials, we could make it from vegetables and a whole lot, even, what's the name, waste food. So I think we should be looking more at making biofuels or bioenergy fuels more from the biomass materials than cutting down trees. And also, talking about bioenergy and biofuels, there's other alternative like making, what's the name, cooking gels from ethanol, right? So like cassava or sugarcane, you could extract, make the ethanol, you add a chemical to it, then you get a gel which you could use for cooking, which is more sustainable than charcoal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will take another hand here, and then yes, here, and then we go back to the audience at least to respond, and then we can have a conversation. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel from Nigeria. I just wanted to talk about the export of charcoal from most African countries to Europe. I was in the UK some time ago and I saw a certified charcoal from Namibia. So what is most government, I know someone is here from Zambia, what is government doing as regards the way to regulate export? Because there's also a lot of driving forces from outside the continent driving the export of charcoal. And I know there's also a lot of illegal export of charcoal from Africa to other countries, both in Europe and in Asia. So what is government doing? And probably the FAO also could also speak on that as regards, are there regulations to stop the export of charcoal from Africa?
Thank you very much. I will take the sir with the hat, red hat, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Justice Ankuma Bafo from CSIR. The issue about charcoal, one concern is that wood are being used for biofuel because they are available everywhere to those who use it. Availability is a key, and they can access it anywhere. My question to the panel is that is there any alternative way which any of the panel have considered to as an alternative way which is more available or which will be available to the users instead of the wood or biofuel? Thank you.
Very much. I think we will stop here the questions. There are so many questions, comments, contributions. I would first maybe give the floor to Shah, first to just respond to some of the questions that were addressed to him, then to Cécile about the mangroves, and then I will go back to all of you because I'm sure you have some responses and comments related to your wonderful experiences in the countries and in the region. Shah, please.
Yes, it's good to know. Aside charcoal is a concern, and I observed that so many questions relevant to charcoal. Yes, it is a concern to me as well. And the first question about the charcoal production efficiency in the case of Zambia. Well, during this wood to charcoal conversion process, and more than 80% of the wood get lost in terms of mass. More than 60% is get lost in terms of energy. So if the current the production efficiency says about 15%, I mean it's normally just 10 to 20%. If 15% is with the potential to get to 30%, then you can save half the wood. This is very significant. Now the technology is there already. The FAO published one publication called the Simple Charcoal Production Technologies in 1980s. It is one of the most downloaded FAO publication. I mean, this is not really a high technology. It's just a change in the charcoal kiln building and the operations of the kiln. Why people do not use it? With such a simple technology improvement, they can get a better quality and better productivity, the investment. And people do not have the incentive to invest into the so-called the improved charcoal. I mean, people will go there, cut the wood, stack it, burn, get the charcoal, go. And if you have a kiln there, that means it's a kind of a relatively long term. I mean, not think about the investment itself, but no, the charcoal kiln will be there. They will not so move flexible as before. And the cost of wood input is really not high enough. I mean, they do not pay much of the wood. So the incentive is kind of weak. We have this kind of information available, and we also look into this kind of charcoal transition, which I have put some copies there. If you want to take a look at the charcoal transition, talking about the efficiency in both French and English. We have the incentives of sustainable wood energy in sub-Saharan Africa, also available there. And if you could not find it, just check the FAO wood energy. It is available there electronically. Thank you.
I want to respond quickly before Cecile. Okay, Humphrey, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll be very brief and fast because the people had asked a lot of questions. The first one was, what are we doing to restore trees? Under the FFF, there are so many activities that we are doing. Zambia, we are blessed with the Myombo forest. The Myombo forest easily regenerate. So we are encouraging natural regeneration among the communities. And then secondly, as I said, in the past, the charcoal producers were not organized. So we mobilized them and formed associations. And there are groups at the community level, so it has been easy for us to make follow-ups to them. For the first time it has happened where the charcoal producers themselves, they are able to establish a woodlot of a hectare. It's only that last year we were hit by drought, so the seedlings that were given to them, most of them dried. But in 2017, we had a good number of charcoal producers that had planted the Eucalyptus grandis to improve on the wood stock. Those are some of the activities that we are doing to restore the forest. And then with the issue of study circles, study circle is a participatory method where between 7 to 6 people would come together and they will discuss the challenges that they are facing in terms of wood and charcoal in the community, and themselves they will come up with the solutions on how to handle the problems that they are facing. And then the second one was on the yield efficiency of charcoal. I think it was from Congo. Yes, I would agree with you. Even at the time when we were, because most of the communities, they are using the traditional method. Also, the recovery rate, when you are using the traditional method, it's at 10% of biomass, and then 90% all goes to waste. But with the Casamance, the drum kiln, the recovery rate is at 35%, between 30 to 35% recovery rate of biomass. And then you'll find that to those that are using the traditional method, the kiln, it will take 7 to 10 days to burn. But with the drum kiln, you are able to harvest within 3 to 4 days. In economical terms, you have other things to do. And then with the drum kiln, you use selective method of cutting, where you encourage the community to select branches and not to cut the whole tree. Those are some of the things that we are doing on that one. And then there was a colleague who had said the trees is not the way to go. I'm afraid I'll speak from the technical point of view. And then we have been so much in contact with the community. And then I'll speak of Zambia and what goes on at the community level. Most of charcoal has been painted with a lot of negativities. You know, sometimes I would joke with the people that we work with to say, is it because charcoal is black and anything to do with black is bad? You get the point. So most of the livelihood of the rural people is derived from charcoal because wood is close to them. Charcoal is able to send a child to school after you sell a bag. charcoal in the rural area is able to save someone's life, where you sell a bag of charcoal and you are able to buy medicine. Charcoal is able to buy a pencil and a book for someone that is in the rural area, because I can assure you income is not easy to come by in the rural areas. So instead of saying charcoal is bad, it's better that we promote sustainable charcoal production, which is possible, where we look at the present and focusing in the future. If we say today this is the way it is, 20 years from now, how would we want it to be? Then can we bring the charcoal producers on board and then begin bringing in these initiatives like establishment of woodlot, natural regeneration, capacity building them, so that, you know, because the illiteracy levels among the charcoal producers is very low. So if you leave them behind, then there's nothing that we are doing. But if we bring them on board and create a platform of discussion and discussing their issues, which they know best and the solutions they know them, then we'll be able to achieve sustainable charcoal production. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I understand your passion, and I understand, of course, that charcoal is there and is there to still to stay, but of course sustainable production is very important, organization is very important, sustainable management of forests is important, restoration is important, but as also other colleagues were saying, we should also have other renewable alternatives, because the forest will never be able to respond to all the demand, because it's not just the demand of the people in the rural area, but also the people in the urban areas and so on. So we need to find trade-offs. I want to give the floor to, yes, please. So from Kenya to...
Thank you. Okay, I would like to respond to the question of youth involvement. Yes, we are the next generation that we need to take up some of these initiatives. But I guess we can get involved, like bringing, we have like the improved charcoal kilns, which we can be involved in making them, and also having like tree nursery establishments, which can promote also reforestation. So in one way or the other, as much as we don't take up, because it's a black, okay, say, like my colleague has said, it's black, so most of the youth are like, no, I cannot handle it. It's like it's that. But this is some of the way that we can get involved as youth. And again, charcoal, as Humphrey has said, charcoal, like for instance Kenya, it comes from the dryland forest. We are promoting the growing of Prosopis juliflora. It has high calorific value, and it regenerates highly. So we cannot say it will get depleted or what, no. It's something that is there. Thank you.
Yeah, tell me about the Prosopis. There were so many problems also in different countries of invasiveness and so on. So everything, I would like to, let's say, to just, because we have still maybe 10 minutes and then 5 minutes for the closing, for the wrap up, I wanted just to give the other colleagues, the panelists, to ask you, of course, while responding to the questions that speak more to you, if you could give, you know, one good practice that you think could respond to the comments from the colleagues. So you have not responded yet, yeah?
Thank you for very interesting questions. I heard one, I want to reply to the question about the alternatives. Okay, so for the sustainable biomass, charcoal should be produced in sustainable way. So here we have this forestry expert. The sustainable forest management can help to increase the sustainability of charcoal production and consumption. For the alternatives, I mean biofuel, liquid biofuels, are not necessarily sustainable. So let me explain the link between the bioenergy production and forestry FLR. landscape restoration. If we need more bioenergy from these alternatives, liquid biofuel can be produced from cassava, which is the case in Africa. Like in Zambia, they are producing liquid biofuel, bioethanol, especially from cassava. If we need to produce certain amount of bioethanol, then we need to produce also the feedstock. So it means we need expansion of bioenergy production land. So it will induce also the land conversion from pasture land or maybe forest land. So the alternatives should be also produced in sustainable way. And for the sustainable habit thing, the agroforestry can help these practices. This is one point that I want to make. So we can produce the food crops on the same amount of land with increased yield by nitrogen fixing woody crops, rotation woody crops, and it can also reduce the use of a fertilizer, and then it will give you additional biomass. So the use of the biomass is important. So what I want to recommend is we can produce lots of wide spectrum of bioenergy, but we should have this ecosystem of bioenergy production. We can produce additional bioenergy from agroforestry or from cassava, bioethanol, etc. But we should ensure the use of this energy and the application of these practices, sustainable forestry management, or the production of liquid biofuel, agroforestry practices, they are not free. So we should ensure the market, we should find the market, and the ecosystem between producer and consumer should be well established to promote the sustainable bioenergy production and also the landscape restoration.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to turn to our colleague from Madagascar, Joari. So, what do you think? What would be the best practice that you could recommend, or also response to other colleagues from the audience?
Thank you, Nora. I will take the opportunity to add some information about our program, because I said in the national level we contribute to the legal framework about FLR and bioenergy, but another component in the regional level we help also to put in place a large scale of reforestation with improvement of improved kilns and for producer and improved store for customer. For us, the best practices of this this wood energy reforestation is based on individual participatory, but also by putting in place the land tenure security for the community, so that they are with this land tenure approaches. They are ownership of the reforestation, and also we help them not only on the reforestation but in all of the value chain. And I think that the key is this act of supporting in all the chain of the charcoal, the value chain of the wood energy. So that you can improve the livelihood, because they are involved on the plantation, but after they can produce sustainable charcoal. We call green charcoal with the best price in the market, and also the link between FLR is now FLR is about to restore functionality. We view produce our tea plant for wood energy. We need also to find another way to restore some other functionality, not only for the wood energy, but to put the plantation to have a mosaic of plantation so that we can, on other hand, have the energy, but also to improve some functionality from the community.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Juari. Maybe before going to Cecile regarding the mangrove, I wanted to hear also more from Veronica, because you have not had, let's say, the opportunity to talk about the practices you are really promoting in your initiative, in your ASA initiative.
Thank you. If we want actually to establish a mutual relationship between forest landscape restoration and bioenergy use, then the method that we should adopt should ensure an efficient energy access with less dependence on the forest use. And if we talk about the biochar technology, the biochar technology promotes less dependent on wood for energy. And it helps also with efficient energy access, and also has value addition. This value addition, which is the biochar, helps to improve the soil fertility and increase the yield of the soil, and also promotes forest regeneration. And wherever we have these degraded and toxic lands as a result of the surface mining, biochar has proved to bring back this destroyed land back to life. Because biochar has a capacity or ability to remove the toxic elements in the soil and prevent the plants from absorbing these toxic elements, and also the runoff of these toxic elements and the heavy metals into the water bodies. So in short, biochar is a very promising technology if you are talking about energy access and forest regeneration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronica. That's very good. Cecile, please. You had so many questions regarding the mangroves, regarding why you do restoration instead of doing sustainable management of the mangroves, and how do you do restoration, and maybe nurseries. There were some questions for you on that.
Thank you so much for the questions. Some are also comment and recommendation that we have to take into account. But globally, doing mangrove restoration does not prevent from doing sustainable harvesting. I think they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. We are promoting restoration while helping, assisting also or training people to get into sustainable management, because the whole issue is to have the sustainable management of everything that we are doing. So even in the stove, we are exploring the best quality that will fit into the need of the women fish smokers. What is the stove that will guarantee the quality of the fish, the taste, the color, will save time, and we've also have a good calorific power. So we have to look for all those criteria before we can say this is the best. So far, it's not excluding totally the traditional stove, but it's improving this traditional stove, because that's where we're going to. And the key advantage we have is that it's a multi-stakeholder group which is working partnership. We have universities with the young students in the university who are interested in bioenergy, that as a part of the project as the universities. We have these private people also, and we have the communities themselves, and we have other partners. So it's just for us, how best can we get mangrove stand for long and satisfy the need of the population. Somebody was saying we don't need to cut trees. it's difficult to say so. It's difficult to tell the community that don't cut trees, don't cut mangrove, where they are living in the mangrove area and they have no alternative. But what we are doing is really taking them slowly towards nursery and also natural regeneration. Is not excluded. They are making also nurseries, replanting from nursery, but also keeping aside some places for natural regeneration. So it's a huge, let's say,
sustainable
diverse
management,
range,
yeah,
yes, of
harvesting.
management to go to the sustainable management of our mangrove, but also to improve the livelihood of the community, because restoration only for restoration will not serve the purpose of the communities.
Thank you so much, Cecile, for your responses. I would like to give the floor to Cisco, maybe last comment or response of any, just 1 minute.
I'll try it in 1 minute. Yeah, I think what the alternatives biofuels have in common with sustainable produced charcoal, for example, produced in a wood fuel plantation or in an improved charcoal kiln, is that they're still not competitive to the logging of trees in the natural forest and production on traditional kilns. So I think that's what we have to work on it, and that, sorry, that can be on different levels. Methods, for example, on the national level by law enforcement, tax revenue systems, or financial subsidies, labeling of certified charcoal. But also in the communities, we have to see what approaches are the best one, because conditions and demands can verify even between one community to the next, even between one farmer to the next. So really have to see also there what is the best approach. Can it be agroforestry there, or maybe a community-managed wood fuel plantation? And that's where we have to see.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm pressing you because we actually reached a bit the time. So it's a very, very complex subject, very passionate subject. And I think you said that we need to close for the wrap-up. I don't know. We got 5 minutes more. Okay, so I will take you because you have been insisting, but I don't want the others to insist. Please, don't put me in a bad situation. So, can I give you this? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Julius Nkansa Nyako from Energy Commission, and I'm in charge of bioenergy. Once I'm here, I want to address some of the issues that some of the people have raised, and I'll be very quick. It's not that we don't know the issues pertaining to the cutting out trees for charcoal production, etc. But then we know that wood fuel use is our primary, wood fuel is used as our primary cooking fuel. But then we've decided to regulate the entire wood fuel value chain. So we are looking at shifting from the normal production of charcoal or wood fuel to the sustainable ways of doing it. And we've got the regulations in place. We've developed it. We are engaging the various stakeholders to finalize it and get it passed by Parliament. But then we are not doing that in isolation. We are looking at the promotion of LPG. Government policy is to increase the use of LPG from the current 25% level to 50% level. So we are also working in that direction. We mentioned cook stoves. We've worked and we developed standards for improved cook stoves. And we are turning that standards into regulations to make that enforceable. We are hoping that all these 3 regulations I've talked about would be finalized next year. And then we will see, those of you who know how in each commission we've brought efficiency in the appliance market, you will see that our cook stoves that are available in Ghana will come in efficient levels. So whether it's 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, the way you see our refrigerators and air conditioners, we have all that. And lastly, we are also reviewing our national energy policy to include most of these things. And we've got all the strategies that will put together the various facets of our energy requirements. I think I did 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's the Energy Commission for Ghana, is that right? Yes, thank you so much, Ghana, for your responses and your clarification to the questions that we had today. Of course, it's a very, as I said, complex issue, and we cannot just tackle it just with this 1.5 hours. There is a lot to say, a lot to share, and I think we have just wanted to create this opportunity for exchanges, information, connection, and you have our experts here from the countries, from the different organizations. So please, if you are really interested to get more into details with them, so don't hesitate after this session, during the break. What I just learned, and then I will leave, of course, the floor to my colleague Tiziana to give a bit the wrap-up and the next steps. What I learned is that really, as from the FLR point of view, the forest and landscape restoration, which also look at the well-being and the socio-economic benefits, so we need to stop, I think, thinking of restoration only about the land. It's the whole value chains, from land, from seed, to the end product, the market, whether it is local, whether it is national, whether it is international, and looking at the sustainability in a very comprehensive way, from the sustainable management of the forest, or the different woodlots or woodlands, but also the sustainability and the efficiency of the product, let's say the charcoal production, and also consumption. So I think it has been really very much, interesting for me to learn more. I am not an expert on wood energy and charcoal, so it was really very, very nice to hear your experiences. So I will leave the floor. I thank you so much. A big applause to our panelists. And I want to give back the mic to my colleague Tiziana to lead us to the end of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nora. And yes, just to say that today has been itself a very positive experience, and as Nora said, has created good connections for us to go ahead. And we cannot ignore the fact that charcoal and fuel wood are part of the tradition of Africa. So we can think to other alternatives, but we should improve these value chains. And because this is part of the Africans' beings, this is part of this population. So I think that we have heard several interesting opportunities for doing this. We heard about improved technologies and short rotation copies, agroforestry techniques, and improved forest management practices. So I think that we will summarize all these best practices in the minutes of today's session, and I'm grateful to all the ones from the audience that have contributed also via Slido. We will take note of all your contribution, and we will go ahead sharing knowledge on this very important topic. We have already planned a further dialogue at international level, probably in Addis Ababa next year in March or April, and we have planned activities at national level, a national dialogue on sustainable wood energy and forest landscape restoration integrated system will be held here in Accra at the mid of December, and in Lomé in Togo soon next year. And the Forest Farm Facility has already planned a national policy dialogue to establish a charcoal producers association here in Ghana in the first quarter of next year. The government of Zambia has already planned another initiative, the Zambia Charcoal Indaba, to be held in March 2020. And again, the Forest Fund facility will organize a sub-regional exchange event amongst producer, practitioner, and policymakers in cooperation with CIFOR and other partners. So let me concluding this interactive session by saying that all these persons here, all our panelists, represents the change, and all of us represents the change that we have been waiting for. So we should act right now, and we should change right now to improve the situation as it is. Let me thank all of you for having participated, all the panelists, and I don't want to forget all the people that have contributed to organize this wonderful session. First of all, Anita, that is here, but also other person that has couldn't join at the last minute. And thanks to all, and thanks for coming, and enjoy your next session. Thank you.